You've been training, Kaz?
Oh, we're live. Hello, everybody,
live.
and welcome to the TMA Sports Network podcast. Tonight, we are joined by Qasim the Dream Beg. How are you, mate?
All good, all good.
Yeah, we're going to pretend like we ain't already spoke for 10 minutes now at the beginning. We are live today, everybody, on Facebook and YouTube. So if you do have a preference of where you like to go and watch, if you're on Facebook right now, but you prefer to watch it on your TV, then you can jump over to YouTube and watch the rest of the stream. How have we all been then?
I'm good. I'm all good, Steve. I'm just trying to share the post.
You're sharing it away, are you? We'll start with you then. What is we kind of asked a few of these questions, so we'll get the obvious one out of the room so far. The way nice and early is lockdown.
Yeah.
How's it been? What have you been up to?
To be honest, my routine has pretty much been the same. I'm still always training. Doesn't matter what's going on, I'm always training. So my training is the same, and also my teaching hours have been the same as well. It's just that we've switched from the gym to going on Zoom.
Yeah.
So to be honest, yeah, my routine is pretty much the same.
How have you found that, Kaz? How have you found teaching on Zoom? Because I found it a bit different at first, but now it's just becoming a bit norm.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think from the first lockdown and then going into this one, I think we was a bit more prepared for it this time. But
yeah,
our class structure is like I'm finding we're having to think more and plan our sessions more to keep people interested.
And you're having to do more as a coach, ain't you? Because when you're in the gym coaching, you do a demonstration and you'll walk around and you'll put them right.
Yeah.
But like
you can't physically correct them.
Yeah, and when I'm teaching on Zoom at the minute, I'm thinking, fucking hell, I'm knackered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feel like
well, that's the thing. Yeah, I'm finding I'm more involved on the sessions, like doing a lot more training on the sessions, like demonstrating. But apart from that, I find it's probably help towards the sessions because we're bringing a lot more content to it because we have to think out the box. So
I've got to say, I've quite enjoyed it, to be honest with you. And our kids, they've thrived off it because I think that it's normal. It's normal to them now. All their schoolwork's been on the computer, and like I've been on it. And as you've seen just before we went live, I'm terrible with technology. And I'm asking the little kids, can someone unmute me?
Sounds about right.
Or they mute me to shut me up. But now
So when you say your own training's been like fairly normal, then have you been able to sort of have like a bubble in your team and kind of train with the same guys as normal, or?
Well, that's the thing. Mainly, it's whether I'm in the gym or I'm not in the gym, I'm always doing some kind of training because I find that's it's been part of my life for so long. I'm always running. I'm always doing my own strength and conditioning. So I'm always keeping occupied. So that's why if you notice, like even in between fights, you'd never see me blow up in weight or, like go out of shape. Like I'm always around fight weight.
What you sitting at, Kaz? Where are you? I bet you went
I walk around at about 68, 69.
Mate.
Trim down to 63. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
I've been but you got to remember, I've been around like the 62 kg, around the minus 63 category for probably about 13 years since I was about 17, 18. So I think because my general diet is quite clean, it's like my weight don't fluctuate too much.
And obviously we spoke to Liam the other day. Obviously we'll talk about that fight in a bit. This is about you. But he said the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think a true champion's mentality, anyone who wants to reach the top, who thinks they can go out and have a drink and whatnot every weekend and eat kebabs just because they're not fighting for another six weeks. They're the people who come unstuck. You've got to live the life of a champion, haven't you?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, one thing I always think is that the fighters that do blow up massively in between fights and kind of go off the rails with the training, they're probably spending most of their fight camp just trying to lose their weight and get the fitness back. Whereas, because I'm always in general good shape, it's like I can focus my whole fight camp on the fight and like all my technical work and, you know, my game plans, where I'm not just spending all my time just trying to lose weight, which a lot of fighters do.
I'm intrigued, to be honest, to see how, because obviously it's been, I think it was a year last weekend since your last fight, wasn't it?
Yeah,
since our last show. So
yeah.
people balloon up in weight and go off the rails in 2 weeks after a fight.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I'm thinking some of these lads who are 60 kilos, 70 kilos
I'm back at 80.
could now be fighting at 80, and it's like, and I'm speaking to some coaches. They're going, "I want Joe Blogs on your next show."
Yeah.
I'm going, "Okay, what weight?" And they're going, "We don't know." You know what I mean? We don't know.
But that's the thing, like, you know, like I think the fighters that are actually serious about going far and like getting to the top, they're the fighters that are always like mentally like prepared and always even physically like staying in good shape. But I think the fighters that
Well,
just
you
go
look,
off the rails, they're like, what would you call them? Part-time? You know,
yeah.
it's a
Well,
part-time thing that as soon as the fight's over, they just let themselves go.
I think as well,
and
it depends who. I think it depends who you're surrounding yourself by as well. I think you've got to have a good team of people who are willing to push with you, because if you're around people that are doing bad things, eating bad diets, and that doesn't help either, does it? So you've got to have that team. And I know from meeting some of your team before, it seems quite tight.
the thing is, Steve, like you've just hit the nail on the head, because with Kaz, he'll fight on a Saturday or a Sunday, but he's back in coaching Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
So he's surrounding himself with training all the time. So I've got Rachel, and she's exactly the same. She'll fight, and she'll be back in coaching in the week. And it's the guys who seem to go off, who balloon up and go off. It's guys who are not having to go back into a gym. Do you know what I mean? They just switch off and forget
Always in the
about
gym environment.
Yeah, exactly. So
And that's the other thing as well. Like,
Gav, sorry, I think we're getting a little bit of feedback. Or Qasim, one of you's getting some feedback. Have you got the volume quite high on your laptops? You might just want to just knock it down a touch, because your microphone. That's why I wear headphones. Just so everyone wonders why I've got massive headphones on my head. Otherwise, I get loads of feedback.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, I can't hear the echoes bad now. But yeah, it is like you say. You get straight back in there. You do hear of some people that just seem to just immediately be straight back in the gym, and it's like, all right, have a break. But that's why you're where you are.
Not everyone's Ricky Hatton, are they? Not everyone can put it. Ricky Hatton. Yeah, but he pulled it off for so many years until it come to the end of his career, where it counted, and then it. Do you know what I mean? He's an absolute legend, but people look at that and they're inspired. But like, so obviously we spoke about lockdown, and it hasn't really affected you. Now we're coming out of lockdown, we've got a bit of a light. How's things going to change? So for instance, we made the fight. We spoke about the fight for a while now, but let's pretend we've made the fight today. What do you get up to do tomorrow?
The same thing I've been doing for the last year.
So for people who are sitting here now watching and thinking, I want to be a unified champion of the world. I want to be Qasim the Dream Beg. I want to be the best. What have they got to do tomorrow and the next day to be there?
The one thing I would say is that in any fight sport, it has to be lifestyle. It can't be part-time. If you want to be the best and you want to get right to the top, it has to be a lifestyle. Your whole life has to revolve around it. And that's your dieting, your training, your motivation, like literally everything. With me, I eat, sleep, dream, everything kickboxing. That is me. I wake up. My first thought waking up in the morning is what if I'm gonna go for a run, or what am I doing for strength and conditioning. It's literally my life. My lifestyle is kickboxing. So that's with fighters in any sport. If boxing, MMA, K1, in anything, if you want to get to the top, it has to be your whole life.
It's the same as anything, mate, isn't it? And obviously, very few do get to the top. But if you've put everything in place and you have tried your hardest in every area, people think coming training for an hour a night is
Yeah.
putting the work in. Like you've just said,
Huh?
it's a full time. Like even amateur kickboxing, for instance, or amateur boxers, they live like professionals. It's not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's not like playing football for a Sunday league pub team where you'll just play on a Sunday, then you're going to have a chip butty and a pint after.
yeah.
It's you're making weight. Even kids, little kids, they're fighting at a certain weight. They're fighting regularly. They're training, and I think that's the difference with combat sports. I do, and I think, just my opinion, I feel like if you've done everything like that and you don't make it top, still tap yourself on the back because you have done everything in place to give yourself the best opportunity.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, cool.
Yeah, you're getting a little bit of echo. Yeah, it's normally it's normally the volume. If you've got some headphones you can plug in, if someone can grab you some offset, that'd help. The only thing I would like, you said obviously about the dedication, someone's just actually put in here, a lifetime of dedication will pay off 50-0. But when you put all the training in, you live, sleep, breathe the sport, like you've just said, it's on your mind 24/7, but you've still got to get in the ring and you've still got to fight. Now, when you've won 49 fights in your career and you've not lost one, it could be very easy to get complacent. So how do you stop yourself from getting complacent? How do you stop yourself from thinking, I've got this in the bag, don't need to worry, I've fought every type of fight there is?
Because you know what? That's my undefeated record for me is probably like my biggest motivation.
Yeah.
Because like I've had conversations with people, and some people would be happy with winning a world title and just leaving it as that. But with me, everything I win, it only drives me to want more. So like my unbeaten record, the 49-0 thing, it's like that is my biggest motivation. I don't want to like other people, like they can take a loss and then they can probably win 10 fights, take another loss, and but with me, because I ain't felt that feeling, that's what drives me to push harder. That's the thing I don't want to lose.
But you say obviously, it's that drives you, but there's a lot of fighters that when they get to 49-0 or 50-0 or 20-0 or whatever, they'll start picking safe fights. You're not doing that.
I ain't got time for that. I've had enough breaks in kickboxing, and when I come back, like, what is it, like 2 years ago? When I come back 2 years ago, like I said it, like I weren't happy with what I'd achieved before, but that's like right now, my motivation and my drive is probably more than it's ever been. Even before I won like titles and before I turned pro, and like I've always had a high like drive towards my training, but right now it's more than anything.
So, Steve, I'm going to tell you. Well, because remember, I've been pestering for years. Come on, let's get back. And he must have thought, shut up.
Yeah.
Because persistence paid off. And I remember seeing you at the Return of the Champions show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he was like, "This is great." And I said, "Come on, we'll get you on." He said, maybe one day. And then I think it was that week we decided, yes, let's get a nail for me. It was like, Kaz is going to do it.
Yeah. And like, I've come back with one goal in my head, and that is to really cement like me as the number one, not as one of the best or, top 3 or top 5. I want to be number one. That's it. Like, people say oh, it's like even if you come second in a sport, like, you still tried in that. No, I only think about number one.
So I would say number one,
Yeah.
49-0. never lost.
Yeah.
Like, people who have retired now watched your career start. People who have retired now, like, who people look up to, are retired, got their own clubs. You're still at the top of your game, and you was
Yeah.
fighting at the same time as them. So I think it's fair, and people put in the comments, and Kaz, it's got to be fair that you are number one. You've got to be number one. You're
Yeah.
49-0. You've never been beat. You've been around the block for years, and you're still at the top of your game. I
Yeah.
can't see there was an argument.
Well, that's the whole point why that's the whole point why, like, you know, when I come back, I said I didn't want to just, you know, go and win a couple of world titles and that's it. I wanted to fight all the relevant names that are out there, all the people that people consider to be, you know, top three, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Like, you know, like with the Dylan fight, people are putting him up there, saying, you know, he's like one of the top few to beat, and we got that fight on. I proved myself against him, and then the second after that fight, we were chasing the Liam Alford fight because
So
he is considered as being top of the tree with me, but
yeah,
there's only space for one of us. So
well,
I can only do one.
obviously we spoke about Dylan. What a build-up of a fight that was. What was, and before we go on to that fight, what is your standout fight? What is your hardest fight? And what is, another question, what's your standout fight that you remember the most of, thinking, wow, that will stay with you forever?
you know what, because I've had a few breaks in my career. There's been a few different fights in different segments of my career that I can say, but for me, it has to be my first world title fight. That was before I had my 4-year break.
Yeah.
Because remember, my goal coming up in kickboxing was always to become professional world champion. And then when I did get that opportunity and the caliber of the person I fought, that was my biggest moment for me personally right now, because I fought for my professional world title against a top level fighter, and I proved myself.
We've got some questions in here while we're on that subject. Caitlin Chapman, who have just brought up the comment for us, said, maybe you don't need to go into a top 5 right now, but do you have any sort of standout fighters along the way that you think, yeah, they were pretty good, they were close, that top fight?
Put it out there. She said, "Who's your top 5 after
it might
yourself?"
Be hard to come up with 5 on top. On the
top 5 fighters. Qasim's number 1. Who's the next 4?
You know what? I think that's for them to decide that. Because there was, before, when I first come back, there was that talk of Liam and Dylan being at the top of the tree. So that was who I was gunning for. I got the Dylan fight, and then I'm like, my focus is on Liam, and even then, more than anything, I was focused on him because people consider him to be the best. So like, if you asked random people now, like, if you compare the last 2 years and say, who would you consider as being the top 2 right now in this division, they'd either say me or they'd say Liam. So he only makes sense in that fight happening.
So yeah, I mean, you've
maybe
got some
guys in the comments.
You've got lots
in
of
the comments, guys.
In.
You guys put in.
Well, we've got James Dunphy.
James Dunphy.
Saying special fighter, obviously fought 15
brilliant
years
fighter.
What do you? That's an interesting question.
How are you, James?
That's an interesting question, though. Do you look into? He's asking what Liam's strengths and weaknesses are. How much attention do you pay to your opponent? Do you do much research?
But yeah, of course. I study all my opponents, and I look at what they're good at, look at where they're weak, and that's like my whole fight camp, along with like my coaches, is based around that. You don't just do general training and hit pads for 12 rounds and hit back for 12 rounds. And we don't just do general training. We focus specifically on who I'm fighting. So when I was, every opponent who I get matched against, we'll watch the videos, we'll study them, we'll pick out what they're good at, what they're not so good at, and then we'll work our own game plans around what would work for that fighter.
We've got people asking as well, is it all 3 belts that are on the line? And can you tell us more about that, Gav? What is exactly on the line for the night?
Right. There's been a bit of a stir this last few days about the belts, about everything. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. This fight happens with or without belts. These 2 guys are number 1. Okay? So for us, we feel it's time for organisations and to give the sport a kick back. It's times now for us all to work together. And we as TMA Fight Series and all the teams involved would love all of the belts on the line. Okay? We're going to work our hardest to get all 4 belts on the line. Okay? So there's WKA involved we need to speak to. There's ICO, IKF, WRSA. Okay? And whatever we come to a plan, obviously we're in conversations with everything now. But the main thing is this fight is 100% confirmed by both parties to happen. And everything else will come into place because we're talking about Joshua and Fury. That fight is happening. So they don't know what belts are on the line for that fight. Yeah. Because obviously Usyk and well, do you know what I mean? They've got to drop a. Yeah. They might have to drop a belt for mandatory, but that fight's happening. That fight's a done deal. So this fight's a done deal. The fight is on. Everything else will build around it, and it'll come together. And I'm sure all organisations are happy, and they're all happy to be involved in the fight. It's just conversations now to finalise things. So at the moment, the fight's on as a fight. Cool. Okay, as who will be number 1, and that is the main thing. But so just looking back, as obviously since you've had, like James Dunphy said there, and I remember James coming over and fighting Ricky on our show. What a fighter! I hope you're well, James. But you fought him 15 years ago.
Yeah.
15 years ago, he's still top of the game. That's what I was trying to explain. How long you've been at it. Yeah. It's inspirational to loads. So obviously you had the comeback fight. Knocked the kid out in about 20-30 seconds. It was what it was. We didn't know who he was coming, and then do you remember this is Steve, I'm going to tell you a story. So this is how easy Kazis and Neil, they want to fight everybody and anybody. So we was fighting in Birmingham, and we was meant to be fighting the Spanish champion. Remember? And the plane set on fire. Was it the wings set on fire on the plane? Yeah. And they said we can't. We've come off the plane, and I've got photos of them. And this was in his second fight back.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? His second fight back, and they couldn't get off the runway. No, it was the day before, wasn't it? They couldn't get off the runway, and we just kept it quiet and was planning and hoping. I booked another flight for them the next day, thinking, "Come on, please, please, please." They got on the plane, and the plane broke down, didn't it, on that day? Yeah. And we was looking all day to try and book flights from, because the Spanish were like, "We want to fight." And we was trying our hardest all day, and then obviously what happened, and the flight got rescheduled for the Sunday, wasn't it? Yeah. And I told Kaz, and they went, "Cool, bring them over tomorrow, then we'll fight them in the gym." We fought tonight, bring them over tomorrow, let them come tomorrow, and we was, I'd say, we was 80% gonna bring them over, wasn't we? Just to fight the next day in the gym. We was really, really considering everyone who brought tickets was just gonna let them still come.
Wow.
And just do it. And it was just like, I feel like now Kaz has come back, we've pushed the boundaries a lot, haven't we? Like unifications on shows, fighting for different, getting organisations, credit to WRSA, ICO, IKF, WKA, all associations who've been involved with us because they've allowed us to do this.
Yeah.
And it's because of them changing boundaries as well. It's a big thank you. And they've helped us achieve what you've achieved, haven't they, by letting us do these on the shows. So when we did the build up for Dylan, when we did the build up for the Dylan fight, we've had Malcolm Martin down, we've done a head to head and stuff like that, and just pushing the boundaries for promotion and stuff like that. And what we're doing now with this and the build up for this fight is going to be crazy. I can't wait for it.
Well, just noticing the support just from the previous stream and the stream tonight, Kaz, you've clearly got lots of fans that are going to be turning out for this one. Hopefully everybody's going to be allowed in. But what would you say, what after all these years of, you know, doing what you've done? I mean, first of all, I'd love to know how you know, everyone wants to know the secret sources to longevity in a sport. But what do you say to all of your followers that, you know, that have been with you throughout your journey?
You know what? The first point you just said about, you know, longevity in the sport, I'd say hit and don't get hit.
Yeah, well, there's that. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'd say with my support, you know, I wouldn't be in the position where I am without my support, because it doesn't matter how good of a fighter you are, if you're not getting bums on seats and you're not getting people in to come and watch you and people wanting to watch you, then no promoter is going to put you on. You know, it's my support that pushes me, that gives me that drive. So if you look at, like, you know, since I've come back, like, I've always had massive support come and follow me, and you know, it's only getting bigger. The support is only getting bigger because, you know, I'm putting in the hard work and I'm like, when I fight, I leave everything in the ring, and you know, like, it's my support that there's times in fights where I'm, you know, where it's a support that drives me to step up a level, and having 200 people, 300 people there behind me.
Go on, Gav. Sorry, go on. You having an issue with your internet?
You should see him on a. No, you should see him on a fight day.
I've seen him fight 3 times. I'm not in the day, but I've seen him fight 3 times now. But yeah, I'm not in the day.
No, I'm on about everybody's seen him fight, but this is how much his fans mean to him. He's getting his hands wrapped. He's getting his hands wrapped for a fight. Can you hear me? He's getting his hands wrapped for a fight. He's halfway through one hand and he's putting his coat on, going out to his mates to give them tickets to help them get people in. And I'm going, Kaz, you're fighting in 2 fights time. Fighting if it wasn't for these guys. And he's running out to the crowd. He's running out, and like I said to Kaz when you fought Dylan, didn't I? I offered them both their own changing rooms upstairs away from everybody. Kaz wanted to be downstairs in the mix with his supporters.
That's another thing. Yeah, I've done that throughout my whole career. Like, when I'm going to, you know, when I'm fighting on a show, I don't like just being in the back and just locked away. I like mixing in, meeting everyone from the crowd. And if you notice, I go and sit in the crowd for a few fights, just meeting everyone and just sitting with them, because that's my way of relaxing. Right? So like I said, you know, some people want to be locked away in a room for 4 hours until the fight, but no, I'd rather go out, you know, meet everyone, mix in with people, sit down, have a little chill.
I know this is a hard question, because I'm sure from the way you've just been talking, it's not something you're even remotely thinking about right now. But how do you know when you've had that longevity? How do you know when you've done enough? How do you think you're ever going to know when you've done enough?
You know, it's a good thing you asked that, because some people always ask me, like, when am I going to retire? When am I going to finish? And I always give the same answer. I will retire when I don't enjoy waking up and training anymore. When I don't enjoy going to training. When I don't enjoy doing strength and conditioning. When I don't enjoy going for sprinting up hills at 6 in the morning.
And that's where I'm trying to help a little bit here with fighters, not just Qasim, who's been there and is at the top of the game. With TMA Fight Series, I'm trying to not change the game. I'm trying to promote our shows in a way that excites the fighters. So I'm giving the fighters a goal, a target. So when Kaz finally said he was going to come back, I was like, "What's the goal? What do you want to do?" He said, "I want to win all of the belts." And I've worked really hard with Kaz and Neil to try and give that opportunity. And I don't, if I'm being honest, and I don't, if I didn't think we could, or do you know what I mean? We just got one belt. Maybe I can't speak for you guys, but you'd be like,
you know what?
Am I going to do?
One thing I'll back what you're saying there, yeah. If you didn't give that TMA platform, I would have never gone on to do this. What I'm doing now is literally is that whole TMA platform. Everything about it is what's gave me that opportunity. Like I said, it's gave me that opportunity to do what I'm doing now. And when I first come back, that was what I said. Like, it's having that platform, and you're giving full contact kickboxing that platform. And it's not, like you said, it's not just for me. It's for all fighters to look forward to. Like if other fighters who are coming up can see me doing it, it's giving them that drive to know that they can do it as well at some point.
Why do you think, and this is just as someone who only in recent years has started getting a little bit more into, obviously through knowing Gav and being involved with the club and stuff, why do you think as the kickboxing maybe doesn't get the showpiece that maybe some of the other big fight game sports get? Because isn't it really explosive? Every time I've been to a show of Gav's, every fight has been good. It's always just crazy, the atmosphere. So I don't. Why? And Gav, you could probably answer that question as well. Why do you think it is? Like, is it just? I don't know.
I'd say it's people not having the platform and people not willing to put on the shows just for kickboxing. And I'd say the other thing is there's too much friction between all the governing bodies. And who would have ever thought that TMA could pull this off, where they're getting all the governing bodies involved and getting all their titles on the shows? Like the fight with me and Dylan, like that was two governing bodies who both got involved and both agreed to put their titles on the line. And that's what it is. It's people not working together enough.
Bit of politics kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a shame. All politics gets in the way of everything.
My answer to that is, obviously, one, we haven't got the platform, like Kaz said. We haven't got the money backing of a TV. Do you know what I mean? We haven't got the backing of Sky or BT. We haven't got the backing of big sponsors where we can pay fighters boxing money. There's many promoters up and down the country who do incredible shows. There's kickboxing shows that's on. It is unbelievable. And the talent is top notch, but we're never going to get the backing that to be anything like that because we haven't got the platform. But me personally, I believe that if we all work together,
we can build it. Yeah,
to give the fighters the best opportunity, exactly to put the best opportunities for the fighters and the gyms, then yes, we can be big in our own rights. Do you know what I mean? Like, Kaz is a 3-time professional kickboxing world champion. People need to support this show, to support his journey, because these things can become regular. Do you know what I mean? He's setting a bar. He's setting a bar now for the up and coming fighters. So, and like we said,
But this is where it's a lot down to the fighters as well. If the fighters are putting the, bringing in the support, that's the only way the shows are going to get bigger. If you've got fighters and they're bringing in 10 people with them, the shows can only stay a certain size financially. Yeah. Whereas imagine, okay,
exactly
right now, like us at Oscar, we're bringing in minimum 200 people per show, minimum, that is. So can you imagine having 5 or 6 fighters who are bringing in 200 plus people? What's going to happen? The show's going to, the show will only get bigger, the platform will get bigger.
I have it, and people think that obviously this is a conversation that we'll have with when we bring another promoter on and speak to a promoter next week or something. But like you've said, people selling tickets, people think that selling tickets pays the promoter. It doesn't pay the promoter. Like, I think you'll vouch for me here, Kaz. Everyone who sells tickets on my show gets looked after, and I put back into the show, and other promoters do the same. But then you'll have people message you saying, and this is another thing, Steve, about why we probably won't be as big. But can I fight for a title on your show? Yeah, I'll fight, but I want to fight for a title. Now, like boxing, you need to have a certain amount of record to get there. If you're a home fighter, like Kaz, he said, I want to fight, I want to be number one. If Kaz only sold 10 tickets, he could be the best in the world, but I couldn't afford to bring.
That makes sense.
Do you know what I mean? It goes back into the shows. So the support that Kaz has got and other fighters have got, they make these fights possible for him, and that's why he's in so high regard for them, because the fans make things happen. He can train as hard as he wants, but the fans make it happen for him.
Before we get the final thoughts from Kaz, because obviously we're coming up to the end of our stream time now, before we get the final thoughts, just whilst we're on this subject of trying to grow a platform, obviously, guys, you can see what we're doing with TMA Sports Network. Make sure you subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube to the channel, because then you'll get alerts to let you know when we're doing another video or a live stream of a fight or an event or anything that we're doing. Also, if you prefer to follow us on the Facebook page, all our latest announcements will be done there, and we do have Instagram as well. It's all the same. TMA Sports Network, you'll find it. Kaz, final thoughts before we go.
How do you beat Liam? That's the final question. How do you beat Liam?
By any means necessary.
I knew it. I knew it.
One way or another. If we stand off and have a game of chess, we do that. If we go toe to toe, we do that. I can fight in any way. So by any means necessary.
And we're gonna have a massive crowd there. We're gonna have a massive celebration. We're gonna bring us out of lockdown with a bang. We want the whole country, the whole world to watch in and join us. Get fighters on the show. This is the show you want to be involved in. Let's get your fighters on. Let's get your team there. Let's make this a big celebration of kickboxing. Qasim the Dream, 50-0.
Come on, of course.
You might look annoyed then. You asked
if it's a 50th birthday party, a 50th celebration, let's go. Let's go. Gaz, it's been a pleasure, mate. It's good to speak to you.
There you go.
Anything you want to add?
I'll just say to everyone, just get behind the show, get behind the TMA Sports Network, what's going on, and just like you said, to fighters that are watching, to coaches that are watching, now's the time to get your fighters in. Fighters, this is a big opportunity. It's going to be a big show, so get yourself on it. And there can't be no excuses about being out of shape and all that, because you've got 4 months.
Too right.
4 months, so
get on your treadmills.
Yep.
Let's go. Kaz, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you very much. And I'll speak to you. I'll speak to you soon. And obviously in the build-up, we're going to get loads of media done, loads of photos, loads of interviews. We're going to be a pain in the arse, but it's going to be worth it.
That's fine.
Awesome, mate. Thank you very much.
Catch you soon, mate.
See you later.
See you, everybody.